Well, good day, everybody, and welcome to the Genius Lab, where we help you realize your greatness. We have an amazing person with us today. We have Rachel the Great, the ray of light, the bright shining star of the universe. How are you today?
I'm really good, thanks. How are you?
I'm so happy that you're here. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
agreeing to do this.
Thank you.
I actually just met Rachel like a month ago at this really cool full moon thing. And there was I was doing my drumming thing like I usually do, and I look up and there's like this bing, and she's got this drum, and I'm like, oh my God, a like person. And it's been really really fun this last month communicating and sharing music, and then I thought, wouldn't she just be perfect for the podcast? So Rachel, we'll jump right in. Okay. Our theme is realize your greatness. And this comes from my mentor in Africa, a guy named Malidoma Some, and he said, everyone is born a genius, and it's the job of the village to acknowledge and support the genius that resides in each and every person. And that, so I wasn't stealing his thunder, although he wouldn't care anyway. I transferred that to realize your greatness, and that's been my tagline for years. What does that mean for you? Because everybody sees it a little bit differently. I'd love to get some feedback from you on that.
Well, for me, I'll say a few things about that. First of all, greatness is a word that I think it's important to identify what its truest and deepest meaning is. And one of the things I ask my clients when I'm working with them is, if you were on your deathbed, what is it that you would like to have accomplished or experienced in your life? And this allows a lot of the less important things to fall away. And I mean, if you really sit with that question, you're dying. What's going to come to your mind? What's going to come to your heart? What is the life that you want to flash before your eyes?
Yes.
And, you know, when we think of greatness, or we talk about realize your greatness, a lot of times we associate that with having achieved something in this material world in which we live. And a lot of times having some success in business or having achieved some success materially can be a result of the greater greatness.
Yes.
And when we think of what kind of people are great, they're the most altruistic, the kindest. It's not necessarily the CEO running the largest company. It might be the mother raising the severely autistic child with so much love and tenderness that it inspires the world on a short YouTube video. So what is greatness? And when I consider how to express to someone who doesn't necessarily understand the power of words, I like to bring in some etymology. And I study this because I found that one of the things that our village, our community may not be teaching us fully, which is the power of word. So when you say realize your greatness, realize is a mnemonic term, and it's a mnemonic word that can mean realize, meaning having an aha moment, or real eyes.
Oh, I love it.
So if you want to realize, if you want to use your real eyes, when you see greatness, you see something different than what you've maybe told is greatness. Greatness is a word, great, coming from Old English, has to do with size. So we think of great as something large or bigger than something else, right? And the word, the end of the word ness is a state of being. And in Old Saxon, it's correlated with the Latin root, which means to do, or udu, which is a state of being. So if you would take great and udu, gratitude.
I love it.
Yeah, so a state of greatness has to do with realizing who we really are. And this is something I think our village, as a consciousness village, we start to teach the meaning of I am. So there's one side of greatness that would achieve the goal as me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm great. Everybody clap for me.
Yay.
Then there's the other side of greatness, which is the I am. That is the great oneness, the unity consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
I am. So when I am great, I know that I am absolutely everything I perceive. So my greatness is not going to come from my personal success. It's going to come from the wisdom of like putting this knowledge into practice.
Wow. That was awesome. I could have had you a long time ago.
Another thing I wanted to share with you about great is if you take the letters, so greatness is also it's another mnemonic. GR8, the number 8.
Okay.
GR8. The letter G is the 7th letter of the alphabet. The 7 colors, the 7 chakras, the 7 notes on a scale. It is the G factor, the God factor in anything. Then you have the R, which is the light projected as a photon. So you have the God factor projected as light, which means it's projecting into matter so we can physically experience it. And then the number 8 turned on its side is an infinity symbol. That's when the one thing becomes two, so that we have duality, so that we can experience each other. So you are greatness. We are greatness. We're God experiencing itself. Boom, it's already done.
I'm speechless, and that rarely happens. Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome.
Thank you to all of my teachers who led me to this understanding. It has changed my world. It's allowed me to experience my greatness. And so if I can share that with anyone, I just want to say thank you and so much gratitude for all the other teachers who have passed this information and this wisdom down for thousands and thousands of years.
Yes, that's wonderful. Wow, this all comes through sometimes our awareness or our the way we perceive things is changed through situations, through adversity, through hard work, through persistence. Clearly, you've studied with some amazing people who didn't just show up and I sense there's a lineage, as there is with my teachers as well, that goes back thousands of years. And there's a lot of work that's been put into not only retaining the knowledge, because the Dagara people that I studied with have no written language. So everything is oral tradition. And it's challenging to accurately transmit history through stories because they so easily get twisted depending on who's looking at them and who's saying, who's telling the story. But do you find that the expression of your greatness has, what are the kind of lessons that you've learned in terms of on your journey, initiations? If I'm sensing, I looked at your website and like amazing trainings that you've been through. You've worked your ass off to really be of service to a lot of people. And tell me about, like what has your journey been, and when people hear this and when they watch this and they want to get in touch with you, how do we do that?
So I feel like there were several questions in that.
The whole bunch. Sorry.
No, it's okay. So I'll say a few things based on everything you just said. And I know one of the kind of topics that has surfaced, which is, does greatness come from hard work? And one way that I've tried to exterminate that phrase from my vocabulary. Hard work, both of which communicate that there's some difficulty involved, and it's only difficult if you perceive it to be.
Absolutely.
Literally. It's difficult if you perceive it to be. So instead of work, what I share with people is maybe consider it loving effort, because work with resistance is hard. Work without resistance is loving effort. So as much as I can tune in and be in a place where I am gifting from my heart in order to reach a goal, then I'm not really working. I'm loving. Yeah.
You can see my office behind me, and you can just imagine it's really hard work in here.
Right.
Yeah. Like, gee, which guitar am I going to play today?
Right. Yeah. And if, that moment that comes when we're tired, when we are feeling like, man, this is work, that's a great alarm to check in with the thoughts and then become the alchemist that you were created to be, and either change the energy of how you're feeling or don't do the thing if you don't have to do it, if you need a break.
Yep.
It's really listening to our inner wisdom often leads us to experiencing what we create in a different way, and then we become a co-creator instead of a slave worker.
Yeah. I like it.
That was kind of one thing you touched on. What was another one?
Oh, just like, what do you do? Like,
what do I do? Oh,
you have this amazing energy that was very clear on that evening when we were all drumming and there was so much chaos, but there was, what's the thing that makes you stand out the way that you do?
Partly I get excited about the little things. Part of that's my nature. Yeah. But I've cultivated that through the challenges of life, because I've got a story. I've been through very serious challenges. I've been on the brink of death. I experienced trauma growing up. I have 3 children. I went through 2 divorces, so I've got stories to share.
Yeah.
To give you some, indication that this is not a naive joy. It's a cultivated joy. And I think what makes me stand out as a practitioner is, number one, a very real and deep, insatiable curiosity, which has guided me to all the things. Again, this is a little bit in my makeup. If you're familiar with the Enneagram, I'm a 7. We're the enthusiasts. We are the epicures. I love to learn and I love to try new things. And then I love to master those things as much as I can before I get excited about the next thing, and then I'll come back to the other thing. So I've got this.
That's why you have a big list of things that you do.
That's why I've got a big list. Yeah. And I've been working in healing modalities or the wellness industry for 22 years. And when I started as a licensed massage therapist, my first continuing education course was Reiki. And if you don't know about it, Reiki is universal life force energy. It's a healing modality, and it blew my mind. I had an experience as a giver. I could sense and feel a giant scar under the teacher's clothes, and under a blanket and under clothes, I could feel all the different things going on in his body. And this was my first time, and I had the beginner's mind. So I was just like, all right, I'm nervous. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just going to go with it. But it blew my mind. And that door started to open up to the field of energy. I needed to know, number one, what is religion and is it legit? Number 2, how does science and religion, how can they coexist? Number 3, how do I master this energy? What's true? What's not true? And I became like my own experiment, which I still am. I don't have it all figured out. And I would never claim that. I'm not, if I were ascended, I wouldn't be here right now. So I'm still here. I'm still learning. I'm still experimenting. But I think what makes me stand out are those things, in addition to a very deep and a very real unconditional, or what I call, because I've eliminated unconditional because it's a negative term. So I say supreme love. It's a real supreme love to the best of my ability in any given moment. But I have a real ability to connect with people on a soul level where they will tell, my clients will tell you they've experienced an unconditional love. Mm-hmm. That's I am a conduit for in some way. So
wow.
Does that answer that?
Yes, you certainly are. Our paths, you brought up a good point of the things you've been through. You've been through some shit, do you have any regrets along your path?
I love being asked that question because I want to teach you a little something about the word regret.
I figured that was in there somewhere.
Have you ever heard of David R. Hawkins? He's a PhD who wrote a book called Power versus Force. And in this book, he's an amazing teacher. And he teaches how words are vibration and frequency. Words carry meaning. And if you're not tuned into this already, there are a lot of resources out there that can teach you the truth of this. It's legitimately true through experience, and it's also true scientifically. The word regret on the energetic scale of words registers at about a 75, which is only a little bit higher than absolute, like detest would be the only thing lower. Okay. Regret is to look back with sorrow, to look back with grief. It implies tragedy. That's one way to look at things. That's an option. If you want to look at things with sorrow and grief, and as if your life is a tragedy, then that's what you will do, and that's what you'll experience your life to have been if it's not continuing. So instead of regret, we'll just delete that from the vocabulary, and instead, I regret nothing. I embrace all of that story because everything that I've experienced has taught me some deep truth, whether I realized it in the moment or not. Mm-hmm. A lot of my suffering came from my own ignorance. A lot of my suffering came from my resistance to really being honest with myself about cause and effect. Uh-huh. Some of the things going way back that I didn't have any control over, I see now as a gift, because if we've got nothing to overcome, what do we have to do all day? Nothing.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
we want the soul who wants to experience life on a material plane wants to have something to do. We want to go from darkness to light. We go from guru, out of the darkness and into the light. We want to bloom. We want to grow. So the only way to do that is to start from somewhere. So I have a start, and I see it now as perfect. It's absolutely perfect. I love it. I love that story. I love the perpetrators of my tragedy, because they didn't know what they were doing. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. If they truly understood, if our village truly understood, there would be a lot less suffering. I could have experienced worse suffering, that's for sure. So, having had experiences that were maybe difficult, I embrace.
Awesome. I love the shift. It's wonderful.
Do you notice too that when you delete certain words from the vocabulary and invite a new word, do you notice that you get like a tingly sensation in your body?
I feel lighter, when I do that. I use a lot of ordinary reality words because they're words that in our culture people understand a certain way. But it's good to bring consciousness to it. And I had somebody that I had asked that question to, and he said, I don't have any regrets, but I would have made different choices with the knowledge that I have now. Kind of same thing. You learn from it. So, it's, and I know people, I have some in my family of origin who embrace regret in capital letters and love to have their life be this completely freaking miserable assault on themselves as a massive victim, and they live their life that way every single day, which is why I don't really have very much conversation with them. So what advice would you give someone who's watching right now, who is like totally like rocking to this great conversation, and they want to find their greatness, they want to see through real eyes, and what do you do?
Yeah. Well, first I think even based on what you just told, the story of the gentleman who said he would make different choices if he knew what he knows now, that's still not a full deep acceptance of the personal journey and where we're at now. Where we are, where any one of us is on I call it the cosmic wheel of all things, all things moving from darkness to light. And I'm where I'm at. I could wish that I was somewhere else. I could say I could have done better if I knew what I knew now, or I can say I am exactly where I'm supposed to be, helping and co-creating with all the right people at just the right place. If I wished it were any different, then I would be not honoring where I am. So there's a person right behind me and I'm reaching back to hold their hand, and there's a person right ahead of me and I'm reaching up to hold their hand, and we're just holding each other's hands. It's like what Ram Dass says, we're just walking each other home. Well, we're right where we're supposed to be. So I think first coming into a real deep place of honoring where we are, and trusting that the unfoldment of your conscious evolution is perfectly on time, and just commit to staying curious and following the white rabbit. So if I've said something that sparked an interest, look it up. It'll lead you to the book. It'll lead you to a conversation. Every little golden nugget that comes our way, we can take that and put it in our pocket and keep pulling it out and looking at it and doing the thing until we find the next golden nugget. And, then we pass the nuggets out and it just becomes a fun game. So that would be the first thing. The second thing, and it kind of touches on the first, activate your love. Be in a state of absolute and utter admiration for yourself, a deep, supreme love for all things. Tune into that unity consciousness. You are everything. Duality exists in everything. As above, so below. Night, day, it's all right here. So you can call me anything and I could say, yeah, that's true. Am I a jerk? Yes, I can totally be a jerk. Am I thoughtless? Yes, I can totally be thoughtless. Am I amazing? Yes, I'm amazing. Am I beautiful? Yes, I am. Thank you. And I'm all the things. So once you accept that, everything exists within you. Every single personality type, every single good or bad thing you could say about anybody, it's all right here. So once you accept that and you absolutely love it all, thank you for the experience, and you have a supreme love for yourself, then your greatness blooms all on its own without you really having to put much effort into it. And then what I teach my clients and what I effort at for myself is to develop integrity. When your thoughts, your words, and your actions are in alignment and you have a balance of energy, you're unstoppable. Whatever you choose to do, you can do. Gandhi said it, so it must be true. But literally, the triangle is a really great symbol that I love to use. My numerology is 3. I see a lot of triangles and pyramids, and it's a thing that just pops up in my consciousness, and I know it's a guide. Geometry is a guide because it's an intelligence. If you haven't heard, it's amazing. But yeah, thinking about that pyramid as mind, body, spirit, Father, Son, Holy Ghost, think of all the threes. We're the same. We have an integrity that when one thing is off, everything else is affected and there's not a stable form. We want that stable energy by developing our integrity. So just take a good look at yourself and start being more honest with yourself. It's really hard to do because I do stupid stuff. I'll say stupid. I do stupid stuff that I know, but I know better. But there are these drivers that we have. We've been deeply conditioned by television. We've been brainwashed by the mainstream, and that's true. I promise you. So if you want to start overcoming these trains of thought or the ways that we were conditioned and domesticated by the people who raised us, my deep patterns still exist and they show up, and then I just lovingly accept them and continue to show up and do my best. So developing that, and then have levity, make it fun. This doesn't have to be so serious all the time. Yeah. Do fun things, laugh at yourself, and enjoy the process. I enjoy the process. Beautiful. That's a big one. And then just for fun, because I was playing with words, I came up with what is it when you use the letters of a word to make a thing? An anagram? Oh, yeah. What is that called? I can't. Yeah. Okay. Well, I came up with one. I came up with a thingy.
With a thingy, that works.
Thingy.
We can use our own language, right?
See, this is how you let perfection go. You laugh at yourself. Generate right energy all the time.
Nice.
Great.
I love
Generate right energy all the time. So you're taking full responsibility and you're generating greatness by generating your congruent, balanced energy.
I love it. Thank you so much for being here today.
My honor and privilege. Thank you so much for the invitation.
May I have your permission to post your website and contact information so that people can get a hold of you?
Absolutely.
I'm inspired. I want to study with you. I want to learn from you. And
and by the way, I do body work, I do sound healing, I do energy medicine, life coaching, and mobility practice.
Cool.
So.
Well, awesome. Well, we'll make sure people can get in touch with you. And thank you so much. And
thank you.
I really appreciate you being here today.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
That's it for today, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast and watching this video. And we'll catch you next time. In the meantime, we'll post some information so you can get a hold of Rachel and start your journey into all kinds of new and exciting fun.